Wrestling Podcast, and you can believe in that.
I knew he was going to do it. I knew.
This is OT3.
What is going on, everybody? Don't adjust those dials. Don't change the YouTube channel. We're finally back after almost, I think, a full month when WrestleMania was on. We're back here tonight. OT3 is back with episode 41. And as usual, I'm here with the same gentleman. But first and foremost, let me say hi to my producer and co-host, the best in the business, Paul. Paul, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well, man. It's glad to be back.
And then we have my other co-host here, the man that likes to refer to himself as one of the best there is. Matt, how are we doing tonight, Matt?
Let's just say I am very broken in all aspects right now.
Yes, Matt.
I can't even do it anymore. I'm broken.
Matt's a little under the weather, has been for the last week or so, right about, you'd say?
Yeah, since last Tuesday. I took a week off from work, and I was barely able to go to the game yesterday with us since we finally met.
Yes, finally got to catch up with this guy in real life, my co-host here. And I'll be honest with you, it really wasn't anything special. No. All joking aside, it was very nice to finally get a chance to meet him and his wonderful wife and my other co-host on SST, Chris, as well. Unfortunately, I did not get to meet Paul, which would have been fantastic, but sometime soon we will plan that day. Paul had some stuff for family. And at least this, Paul, did your daughter win her soccer game?
She did. It was
that's
first
awesome,
win
and that's even better.
Yeah. It was worth it.
Excellent.
God, I'm so broken right now.
Oh, God, you and this broken thing. One other thing that we've been gone for a month just to catch up on non-wrestling related stuff. Last week, Matt actually celebrated his birthday, so happy belated birthday to Matt. Last week, we would have been trying to say something on the show, but like I said, we've had a lot going on between the three of us, and we're glad to finally be back tonight. And I know it's been a while since we did that pre-WrestleMania predictions and everything in our OT3 Mania 2. But we're back tonight, and what a night to come back on. So before we get into Payback that took place last night, let's talk a little bit about what you've missed while we were gone that we haven't got a chance to talk about. So first and foremost, WrestleMania and NXT TakeOver that weekend.
I have the predictions.
He has the predictions. Look at that. Awesome.
You go ahead and start going over, and I'm going to see who got the most right.
You want to talk? What are we talking about? NXT first or WrestleMania?
Yeah, we'll go through that real quick.
Go through which one? Both of them?
Yeah, we'll do NXT first, and we'll go WrestleMania. Okay. Just real quick. Brief summary.
I'm to be honest with you. I'm kind of blanking here on some. I know the first match of the night was it a 6-man tag match, or was it it was the 4-on-4, right, match? That was intergender, because they had Ruby Riott, and that's when Cassius Ohno replaced No Way Jose, right?
Yes.
And they faced Sanity. My prediction there was Sanity going over. I'm pretty confident. And Sanity did get the victory. Is that correct? Man, it's been a while.
So.
Yeah, see, it's been a while. Now we're gonna have to fact check that. You want to fact check that while we're
I'm way ahead of you, buddy.
Yeah, because I'm not. It's been that match is one of the ones I don't. I remember Cassius Ohno came out. I was hoping
Sanity did go. Sanity did go over.
Win, right? They beat. If I remember, they pinned Ty Dillinger, right? And we'll get to talk about Ty Dillinger a little more as we move past the WrestleMania weekend.
Yep.
Sanity, I feel, with what NXT is moving towards, I feel like they could be a huge part of this new, I don't want to say generation of NXT, but this new crop of talent that can lead NXT to its next, up and keep moving up. Because a lot of these guys, like I said, we'll talk about a few of them that have been called up. There's not really that original thing that really started this NXT revolution. For the most part, 90% of them, if not all of them, are moved up to the main roster, and have moved on from NXT. So I think Sanity could play a big role in the continuing production of NXT being the third brand on WWE and not just being, a developmental, as it's called. So we'll move on from that. Did you really have anything else to say about Sanity and that match?
I think the right team went over.
Yeah, I agree. Then the next match was, who was the next match, Matt, that you have on your list there?
Aleister Black's debut.
Yes, Aleister. Very ominous presence when he came out with the whole entrance of him raising up. Great theme song, great gimmick. He has a great look for the way it built up his character, and him showing up in his debut and beating Andre Amas was expected, but I think they're gonna. This guy is another thing where he's coming in at the right time and the right place to be part of this next movement in NXT. I know I'm saying this next movement a lot, but a lot of guys, we could talk about from 2 years ago, are on the main roster now that made it NXT what it is today, and there's really not many there left anymore that it's like, oh, this is the main event guy on NXT. It's like, okay, who's the next guy that's going to step up? And this is a guy that I think that is going to really insert himself into the picture here in NXT. A guy in the Indies that people knew as Tommy Yen was very good and very well known, and now he'll make make an impact here in NXT. Third match. Which one do you want to go with?
Tag team, which I predicted. Yeah.
So the Authors of Pain, again, retained their titles in a triple threat elimination match, which was a great match. Again, those tag teams between the Revival, the Authors of Pain, and DIY did not disappoint once again. Went out there and put on an awesome match for the crowd and for our viewers watching at home. And to me, that was the match of the night for NXT. It was one of the better ones that I think they put on. It still doesn't top the other two previous matches that DIY and the Revival had, especially that 2 out of 3 falls match. But a great match. The Authors of Pain are showing more and more why they are the champions. I mean, they're dominant, but they're also showing that they can be in there with the best of the best when it comes to NXT tag teams. So the question is, where does it go from there with the tag teams?
Yep. The next one I have is Ember Moon versus Asuka. Right? Yep. Asuka went over that.
Asuka went over, yeah. Some people are surprised, I'd say. A lot of people thought Ember Moon would be the one to defeat and the streak, me being one of them.
Well, Asuka's really turned into this heel now. She's done a complete heel turn.
Yes, and as of recently, I think in the last week or so, Asuka's officially passed Goldberg's 173-0 streak. So she has the longest streak in not just in women's wrestling, but in wrestling period when it comes to it. She has the most ever consecutive wins without a loss, and has continues to roll here in her not only debut into NXT, but in WWE. And I think it's just a matter of time that she's on the main roster as well, but it doesn't look like her dominance is stopping anytime soon in NXT.
And let's go on to the glorious.
Yes, the main event. The first against Shinsegae Nakamura, right?
Yep.
You got to say about this, but I'll let you go right away once I say this, but from my recollection, the only person I can think of, I know in a title match for sure, but to beat Shinsuke Nakamura more than once in NXT. Because Joe might have beat him but never in a title match more than once, because Shinsuke, even in his rematch against Joe, won the title back. So he's the first person to beat him twice.
It was great matches. Those two are great together. As we both predicted that Nakamura was going to lose, because as we know, the following Tuesday he did get his call up. He is on the main roster now. But it was a great match, great for Bobby Roode. And we forgot one other thing that happened in NXT TakeOver. You forgot to mention something.
The big thing that happened that was not a match, but goes again with this new crop of NXT guys, is Drew McIntyre was shown at ringside and is now a member of the NXT roster. This was something, congratulations. McIntyre was great in his first run. He was never, they never really found his true potential of what he could have been there on the main roster. Vince always liked him, they said, backstage. That was one of the people he liked, and he even came out, on TV and said he was the chosen one, but it just never got him over too well after that with storylines. But it was great to see McIntyre return, and from what Matt and myself had saw, from the days after that, it was very last second put together from what I read. It was, they wanted him, but they didn't expect it to happen. And as of that morning,
they got it
like
together
when he
that
signed
morning.
His contract. Yeah, it was like a last second. We're going to have him show up on TV tonight so that people know this is coming soon. And it was awesome to see McIntyre back, and I think that that's going to elevate NXT as well, with this, movement forward. Overall, the pay-per-view was not one of the best takeovers. It was good. I think they've had better. But again, like I said, it's with this, continuing of the changing of the roster. I think they're going to come into their own eventually. And I think that these next few ones, now that they know who their, main guys are going forward, they're going to have some good matches. Also, we've seen Atami return. Not at TakeOver, but Atami has returned.
Can we do the spoiler alert?
What his placement? Do you want to do the spoiler alert? Yeah,
spoiler alert. With the tapings, Atami is going to challenge Bobby Roode at NXT Chicago. And can I say one thing about NXT Chicago? If I hear one damn CM Punk chant, I'm turning the thing off.
It's going to happen, man.
It's been 3 years now. I'm sorry. I love CM Punk to death. I've been listening to his thing with Colt Cabana. It's got to stop. Got to stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think at time and a place, it's got to stop, like you said, with Punk chants.
But
it's not changing his standpoint on coming back. So,
but besides that, the NXT for the title will be Punk versus Atami at
Atami versus Rude. Yeah,
Rude
so you want that too.
At NXT Chicago. If Punk comes back to NXT, I'll lose it.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Now, I'll still mark out when he comes back if he ever does.
Oh, for sure.
Yes,
Paul?
Give me a second. I need to change one thing on the audio because it's like kind of echoing in the feed. So hold on 1 second, okay? Give me one.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, man.
Sorry, viewers. Just give us 1 second as we fix this. This way it's a little more pleasant for you to listen to.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. I think we're good.
All right.
Can I ask you a quick question real quick?
Myself or Paul?
No, you.
Okay.
Before we get to WrestleMania, since we brought his name up, I was listening to that podcast, and when they had the Shield?
Yeah.
And they wanted Chris Hero instead of Roman Reigns. Just after watching him come back and everything, do you think that would have worked? Just a quick out of the ball question. Do you think it would have worked?
I think Roman was, as much as people give him hate now, looking at that group,
because
Roman was the muscle of the
That's
the
what
three.
I meant. And I can't see Hero playing that role.
No pun intended. He was the big dog, as he's called now. He was really that muscle.
I just wanted your opinion because I heard people talk about who's supposed to be in and who wasn't. And I'm a Roman fan, but after watching Chris Hero and the way he looks physically, wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, no, and also with that, the Roman kind of inserted for me when it comes to factions, you got to have like someone that's different. If you would have put those are three guys that weren't WWE based, Roman was that, it's in his blood, it's in his family, and on that, we'll talk a little bit. Rest in peace to his older brother. Very sad story to hear about that. He was only, I think, was it 46 years old, Rosie?
Yep.
Right. So that was a very sad.
3-minute warnings up in heaven now, taking care of business.
Very sad thing to read about this past week that had happened.
If you don't know, the reason I say that is because his partner Umaga also tragically passed away a couple years ago. So, rest in peace. A 3-minute warning, and if you're going up to heaven, you got 3 minutes to get past them. Yeah,
that's right. And we'll move on with that nice little homage there at the end. And, we get back to, WrestleMania. Let's get right into it.
The first match, Cruiserweight title.
We both on the pre-show?
Can we both agree they did that in the pre-show so they wouldn't have to change the ropes later on?
I think that had a lot to do with it. It meant now that, I think about it, because I read, too, that last night at Payback, they had an issue with that again, possibly with the way the ring, with the setup and not getting it done soon enough. So I think that may have led to a little bit of the reasoning behind it.
Great match.
But also great way to start the night. Some high-flying spots and two great wrestlers in the ring. Neville gets the victory with some underhanded tactics. I love the King of the Cruiserweights, Neville. Obviously, we'll talk about him again when we get to TakeOver, and in a couple minutes from now when we finish this. But I'm liking his title reign. I'm hoping it continues for a lot longer than just through the next month or so. So yeah, great start. Then the second match of the pre-show, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Maryland.
Yes, Mojo Rawley gets the win.
He graduated from Maryland University.
That's right, he did.
Nice.
So with assistance from Rob Gronkowski. I know this is, Rob Gronkowski actually was sitting ringside. He's very good friends with Mojo Rawley in real life. And Jinder Mahal decided that he wanted to throw a drink on Mojo, whatever his reason was, whether it be because he said it was beer and he doesn't drink beer and he spit it out on him. Understandable, but you didn't think Gronkowski was just going to sit there and get a drink thrown on him. Gronk actually got in the ring too, Paul. I don't know if you got a chance to see that video of it, but he got in the ring and actually shoulder tackled Jinder and knocked him pretty good. You could tell that the spot, you could see it was a little rough the way he hit him, but definitely shows why Gronkowski's still out there on the football field and is one of the best tight ends in the game today. But Mojo Rawley gets a huge upstart, I think, to what he could really do on SmackDown, the land of opportunity, as they call it. And I was glad to see it. I would have liked, there was Sami Zayn possibly to win it, Braun
Big
Strowman
Show
was
got
another guy.
eliminated quick.
Him and Braun Strowman and Big Show, the two biggest guys in the match, got eliminated way too early. Two favorites in the match.
Apparently, Big Show was very upset.
Yep, but Mojo got the win, so congratulations, Mojo, on that. And then the last match of the pre-show, which to me was unbelievable. It was the Intercontinental title match between Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose. This is a match that should have been on the main show. I understand it was changed for the SmackDown Women's title. Understandable, but people clamored for this match to be moved back to the main show, the SmackDown Women's match, but not for another match to get moved to the pre-shows because they wanted all of the titles put on the main show, which obviously the Cruiserweight, we didn't have a chance with that, but you didn't even have a SmackDown tag title match. So it's like not all the titles were defended anyway. But to see this match on the pre-show, to me, the match really wasn't all that good. I thought it could have been a lot better, and I think it had a lot to do with the placement. And Ambrose won again. Obviously now, which we'll talk about the Superstar shakeup really quickly after this. Ambrose ends up going to Raw. But Corbin should have went over at WrestleMania and gotten the title off of him, but that's neither here nor there now, unfortunately. So let's get to the main show.
First
and
arguably
the match of the night to me.
Styles versus McMahon.
Everyone said Shane McMahon can't do matches, against guys that are,
It was a 20-minute match, by the way.
It was a 20-minute match against one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the best. And they said he can't do those kind of matches. He's a gimmick kind of wrestler. He needs to be in like matches where there's some kind of like a Hell in a Cell or a street fight where he can, do some kind of awesome spot, and that's what he does. But Shane McMahon went toe-to-toe with AJ, and they had a really good match. And I think to me it was the match of the night, maybe the match of the weekend between the two of them. And it started off WrestleMania very well. AJ gets the win, which was expected, but Shane McMahon, for lack of a showing, really, I think, earned the respect of AJ, as you saw, and AJ wanted to stay on SmackDown, and they put aside whatever happened between the two of them. Very impressed with the way WrestleMania started. I see you looking a little.
It's like your headset just shut off or something.
Oh, yeah, it did. You're not wrong. So Matt, I will let you talk about the second match while I fix that.
Second match was Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. Jericho was the champion going into it. Once again, fans, sorry for my voice. Kevin Owens went over in a very, very good match. Jericho, whenever he's in a match, he puts on a 4 or 5 star match. We kind of expected Kevin Owens to go over. And as you saw in the shakeup, since Kevin Owens got the title, since Ambrose went to to Raw, Kevin Owens took that United States title to SmackDown, but we will discuss in the show later. Does he keep the title in the rematch?
Yeah,
so Anthony,
the face of America, as he's called. I thought that was another good match. I think, again, they put 2 good matches at the beginning of the show. Huh? Yeah. Did you see he also said something on Twitter now about Canada? And I'm like, this guy's a Canadian. Now he's saying leave it to America. And I'm just like, wow, this guy's really taking that gimmick. But yeah, no, I think that it was another great match between the two. The two of them have great chemistry. So it was just another good match of Chris Jericho's career. And Owens gets the win on the WrestleMania stage. So congratulations to Owens and Jericho. Jericho on this run, I think, has been fantastic. Again, it sucks that it's coming up to an end here, just maybe as soon as this week, they're saying. So we'll get to that, like you said, in a little bit. But yeah, we'll move on to the third match of the night, which was the women's match, right?
Bayley versus Charlotte versus Sasha versus Nia Jax in an elimination match, which is all. What?
Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
We saw Nia get eliminated right away with the triple power bomb with 3 people on top of her. And then me and you both thought we were going to see a heel turn from Sasha in this match. We didn't. Bayley won fairly clean. And, we'll talk about Bayley's match against Alexa Bliss later on, who got moved to SmackDown. To Raw. But, it was a very good match. Then they had a couple of botch moves, I believe, in the match. As for some reason, these women always do now. But Bayley won, and we were both surprised.
Yeah, Nia Jax is still a little bit away, I think, from being a main contender for the Raw Women's title. But the match overall, I still think the triple threat last year between Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte was one of the best. And I think that they're only going to get better. But Bayley won in Orlando, where she started with NXT. So I thought it was very good, a very cool thing to see. And I'm happy that they weren't doing let's give it back to Charlotte, let's give it to Sasha. They kind of kept it with Bayley. And now we're seeing that, new contenders are going to be in the face of the Raw Women's division. And instead of just going in order, let's talk about the SmackDown, since they kind of go hand in hand with some of the contenders now switching brands. Let's talk about the SmackDown Women's match. A lot of people thought when they moved this back to the main card, it was for sure, myself and you, I think included, that someone was returning or coming back at least for one night since it was an open challenge.
No.
But we got Naomi, and not unfortunately, I shouldn't say, but we found out before even WrestleMania that she was going to be in the match. I think it would have been a little bit more special if she would have just showed up. It was expected, but at least it would have been like, oh, wow, okay, there we go. Now it's something, Naomi shows up in Orlando, her hometown, and she reclaimed the title. Again, something expected, since she was never going to lose it. She was supposed to walk into WrestleMania with the title, but after her injury, she had to drop the title. So overall, the SmackDown and the Raw Women's match, they were good, but like I said, I'll say again, the match last year at WrestleMania, I think to me really set the bar high for the women's matches at WrestleMania between the three of them. So with that, let's talk about maybe the biggest shock, something that you thought was going to happen, but the fatal four-way, triple threat ladder match that turned into a fatal four-way with the reemergence of the Hardys on WWE. Everyone thought when they came out,
to do it properly. God damn it!
It's all right. You'll get it back. Once you have it back, you'll be able to do it. You will no longer be broken. There you go.
You know what the best part about that was when they came out, dude. The New Day cracked me up because when Kofi started doing what Jeff Hardy was doing, what really pissed me off was when they said who could it be, and Kofi takes the hat off and starts walking. I was like, I swear to God, if they play the New Day's theme song, I'm turning this off.
Well, I thought there was a chance, and they did a great job of the storytelling. Like you said, it was awesome to see the New Day because they genuinely looked like the fans, how excited too as well. That like when the Hardys came out, like man, like this, it was a moment. And a lot of the guys in the ring said they had goosebumps because this is nostalgia seeing the Hardys come back and be in a match with them.
I read they didn't know until 2 hours before the match.
Yeah, I believe it. So it's an awesome thing to see. Great to have the Hardys back.
And when he got in the ring and did delete,
yes,
it was
and
great.
He started chanting delete, and the fans loved every second of it, and it was a great thing, like I said, to see the Hardys back.
The good thing about it was that it was in Orlando, and since they've been in TNA for the past couple of years, the fans, generally who, if they went to a TNA taping, knew the whole delete thing, the whole broken thing, and it's great to have them back. It was great to see them win. Jeff Hardy had a spot, you knew it was coming. I think Sheamus took the full force of that though, because his ladder didn't break.
Yeah. It was a rough one, yeah.
Once again, but you know what tag teams really disappointed me though, is Enzo and Cass, because I feel like it's all Cass, and all he does is just throws Enzo around, and it's I hate to say this, I loved them at first. It's starting to get old.
Yeah, they're not translating well to me on the main roster. I think Cass individually could be a really big star, especially in that mid card for like the Intercontinental title. But I think Enzo and Cass overall are just not translating well for me so far on the main roster. There's no issue on the mic, but in ring it just seems like it's just not there. Like you said, there's something.
He's not learning.
It's not progressing to where they should be.
I mean, like you can say is you can't teach charisma. You can teach ring work, but it's just like I don't know who's
the charisma's only going to get you so far. It's not going to get you a title run.
He's going to end up having to become a manager.
It's possible. But
I want him and Paul Heyman in a microphone contest.
Oh, geez. I don't know if they'd be able to handle that.
Tell me that would be great.
Will they break people up like a tag team like that?
Yeah, sometimes they do it. They'll do it every once. I mean, you'll probably remember this one. One of the most infamous ones was the Rockers back in the 80s with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty when he threw him through the barbershop glass. They'll do it when they think that it usually happens like in that case, which was probably one of the easiest and best cases to do, when there's a star in the making out of the two of them. Not that Jannetty wasn't good, but they saw that Shawn Michaels had the main event caliber and he was going to be able to carry, the whole entire program on his back if need be. He was one of those guys, and that's why they took him out of the Rockers. That could happen with Enzo and Cass. When Enzo got hurt a little bit back this past year, Cass really took the ball and ran with it, did really well actually on his own, and there was talk of actually having him be on his own, but Enzo came back, and they weren't going to just have Enzo without a partner, so they kind of put him back together. But I definitely think it's something they'll look into eventually, is having Cass on his own, maybe in the next draft or superstar shakeup that they break up a tag team.
Gotcha.
Put Enzo with the cruiserweights or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either.
So I guess
we don't have
that's
to go
what we can
necessarily
talk
in order,
about.
yeah. But
Let's go to the big men's tag team match with Cena and Bella versus Miz and Maurice. I think we can say the biggest thing about this was the ending.
Yeah, the engagement. Yeah,
Cena proposing to Nikki, which
Nikki in the middle of the ring.
She had to know about it.
Yeah, I think she had to know.
You hate it, but she knew about it.
I think
they got mainstream attention.
Yeah, the build-up for that match, I think, was one of the better ones. I really think SmackDown did a really good job for the build-up overall of all their matches, but I really enjoyed the Miz and Maurice acting as Cena and Nikki. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was entertaining, and I thought it was something very different than what we had seen. And yeah, like I said, man, I can't say enough about it. I think that the Miz and Maurice really were the MVPs of SmackDown, and Raw gained a great talent in getting the Miz. So, not a bad match. Not what you expect from Cena, but you know what? It shows that he really does have, true care for the business, not only business, but for Nikki Bella, his now fiance, that he would take that kind of match, and not be in a marquee match like he usually is. So, yeah, I think that anything else you want to add with that?
Really, I want to talk about? Nope. The match I want to talk about next was probably the most disappointing match of the night, which was the WWE Championship match between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. We were expecting so many big things. First off, the entrances were kind of cool, except Randy Orton commented that the Viper looked like a big seaman walking behind him. And really, I think most of the match was just Bray Wyatt's little, I guess, ring video thing when he would go upside down. That really took up half the match and live up to potential. I mean, can you agree?
No, I agree with you for sure on that. I think they could have did a lot more, like you said. And myself, I don't want to speak for you, but I was a huge advocate of thinking that match should have been the main event because of him winning the Rumble and it being the WWE title. And if that would have been the last match tonight, I think WrestleMania would have ended on a very, very sour note. We'll get to what the main event was, which I'm sure everyone knows by now. But it would have ended on a very, very, sour note for me. Yes, Randy won. I was happy to see that. I would have liked to have seen Bray maybe continue his title, but again, with the superstar shakeup, not anyone knowing about it until after the fact, kind of changed, it seems like, a lot of storylines of how everything was going to go down.
I have a question for you.
Yes, absolutely. What's that?
Randy's closing in on 16 as well. What is he at, 12, 13 or something like that? 14?
I think he's at 13. That was his 13th win.
What do you think about this scenario? Let's
Cena
say they let Randy.
The 17th?
What if Randy gets to 16, and let's say he drops the belt? You put Cena, Orton, in a triple threat with whoever has the belt, and what if those two go for 17?
I think that Cena's going to get to it before Orton gets there. I think Orton will eventually break or get very close to 16.
What if that was a main event of WrestleMania? What would you think about that?
People will complain, but I think in about 5 years from now, there's no reason we shouldn't see Randy Orton and Cena again. If they're both still around, if those guys are still at 16, or even 3 years from now, they main event WrestleMania for 17th. Who's going to be the 17th person? So obviously Orton would have to. Well, no, you couldn't do that. Orton and they would have to lose, like you said. So
it would have to be a triple threat. It would have to be a triple
threat with whoever the champion is at the time.
Hey, bring CM Punk back. Let him have his WrestleMania moment.
Oh man, and he loses.
Oh Jesus!
But
it's like, Punk, you're gonna get your WrestleMania moment, but you're gonna drop it to Cena so he wins 17.
Yeah.
We heard him say in the interview he didn't give a crap. He just wanted the moment.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
But anyway,
he wanted to be in the main event.
That match was. I thought it was.
Yeah. The
it
match
was
was not.
Minutes,
it was good, but it was
horrible.
It was just not to the point where it should have been for what everyone was expecting. So let's talk about another match. A guy that was coming off was injured by Samoa Joe over a month before. Wrestled the match against Triple H. I was impressed for what Seth Rollins, if he was as injured as it was being made out to be, whether it was storyline or not, he didn't look like he was missing a step, really. And he looked good in the match. And the match overall, to me, was actually pretty good. It wasn't his best, either of theirs best match, but it was a good match. And Seth Rollins got the victory after Triple H knocked Stephanie off into through the table. Yeah. So
good for Rollins.
Yeah, good for Rollins. And that continues he needed that one, especially after everything missing WrestleMania last year. He needed that.
And then in one of the main events, the last one for the WWE Universal Championship. By the way, have you seen that belt? I think it's missing. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Oh, no. It'll be defended at Great Balls of Fire in July, the new Raw pay-per-view.
Jesus Christ.
So in July, and he won it in April. So that's 3 months. So a 30-day rule just gets thrown out the window, but no big deal.
So we have Brock Lesnar, who defeated Goldberg in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The match, we saw
Was it 4? I thought it was 5 minutes.
It was 4 minutes, 45 seconds.
Okay. There you go. Well, either way,
We were both wrong. We said under 2 minutes.
To be honest with you, Matt, that match to me really wasn't that bad. It was for what the two of them did, considering it wasn't much offense. It was just suplexes, a spear, a jackhammer, and an F5. The match wasn't horrible. I was expecting a lot
over
worse.
The spear was pretty good.
Yeah, showed the athleticism of him.
You know what? This is bullshit. Where the hell is Lesnar? You have I almost did it. Almost dropped it. You have the freaking Universal Championship. You have the main championship for Raw.
Missing.
And you're not there. We just had a goddamn pay-per-view last night, and no damn heavyweight title was defended. Are you effing kidding me? What kind of horse shit is that? Stupid.
There we go. He's on a soapbox.
Stupid. Come on, man. Do you not agree with this?
No, I agree with you. I agree that the title should be there. I think when you do a brand split, you have to have a world title on every. That's why you have it on both shows. And not only that, the match that was supposed to take place, which again we're going to talk about really quickly because we're kind of getting a little running
even for the title
on this. Wasn't for the title anymore because of previous circumstances that took place on SmackDown. So we'll leave with that. Brock Lesnar won. A little cool thing was it was 14 years prior that he won a title at WrestleMania against Kurt Angle, and then he won it at WrestleMania 33. So that was cool to see him win again.
Shit.
Yeah, well, I know you don't like Brock Lesnar that much, but
it's not.
Nonetheless,
it's not. I don't like him. He's a good guy. I don't like the concept of him having a title, and we don't see him. What's the point of that? What kind of pedigree do you give that title? Dean Ambrose hasn't defended. Why didn't he defend the Intercontinental title?
Yeah, I didn't understand why he didn't defend it. He just got moved to Raw. Why wouldn't they have that? But they have the United States SmackDown title defended on it.
SmackDown had more people on that show than Raw.
Yep.
No,
I agree.
So stupid.
Let's finish with the final match and let's get to Payback.
I'm voice again now because of this crap.
The main event of the night was The Undertaker and Roman Reigns. Let's talk about the match first, and then we'll talk about what obviously happened after the match.
IWC can go screw themselves because Roman
won the match.
He carried Undertaker too a little bit through this match.
Roman helped. Roman is a good wrestler. Whatever anyone wants to say, whether they like his character or not, that's one thing. That's another discussion for another time. Undertaker in his final match wanted to put someone over, is what was said, and he put over Roman Reigns, and the two of them had a match, and you could see in Roman's face he didn't want to do it. It reminded me not as much of Shawn Michaels' Ric Flair, but it had a similar resemblance to how that match ended, when he was like, "I'm sorry."
The bumps Taker took with the table.
Yes, and Undertaker went out there
surprised
and put on a great. I think to me, for the Undertaker, what they were saying, how bad a shape he was in, I think the match was very good to me. Obviously, a lot of people didn't like the result, and that's why they're like, "Oh, the match wasn't good." I think the two of them put on a good match.
And I like how he had to keep fighting, and the only way for Roman was to beat him. So I guess, what do you want to call it? Super spear, I guess, off the ropes, just going back and forth.
He tried to confuse him to get him. That's why he went off of the ropes, and he did a good job. Like I said, Roman left the ring after he won, didn't stay there, parade. He gave the ring to The Undertaker. And then the thing that people are still talking about now, even a month after, and I'll be honest with you, man, it was hard to watch that, to see him, take his hat off and his gloves off. This is a guy that before I was even born, before I was born, I think you were very young when he first came around, I think, right?
Yeah.
So probably didn't even watch wrestling. You're probably a baby, I think,
More,
but
I was more into it when Kane first came around.
That's in the like 96, 97.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying this is 1990. It's over 25 years that Undertaker's been around. I think it's a little over 25 years. So this was his 25th match at WrestleMania. And it was just to see him finally, if this is it officially, which it looks like it is. What can you say? What can you not say about The Undertaker and what he meant to the WWE and the wrestling world
He's great
overall?
For the business.
Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic. What he did for the industry was amazing. And, I can't say enough great things about him. I know they've said it many a times. Thank you, Taker. But The Undertaker is one of the best of all time. There's no doubt in my mind. When it comes to big men, he has to be up there as the most athletic big man that I've ever seen in the game. And, I mean, just I can't say enough good things and praise The Undertaker enough. It
What they're
was
saying now is the dead man character is done. Whenever we see Undertaker again, he'll be his normal self. That's what the thing was. It was officially the end of the dead man.
yeah. He kissed his wife. That's how I knew it was official because he had never done that before when he kissed Michelle McCool. But thank
Till we
you
see
for
the American
everything.
Badass.
I don't think. I think this is it. I think that was his way of ending it. And yeah, like I said, what a career, man. Match after match that I could think of what this guy did at WrestleMania after WrestleMania. I know Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, but just the 2 matches they had were fantastic. I think maybe the 2 of his best, if not his best matches of his career was Shawn Michaels. Other matches that he had, the casket matches, buried alive matches.
That match with CM Punk was still one on the top of my list.
That was good, but it wasn't better than his WrestleMania match against HBK, man. Those matches were something special, man. They really were. Those are 2 of the greats.
The Ric Flair match was amazing.
Ric Flair was. That's what I'm saying. There's just so many matches you can name. You go all the way back. One of Randy Orton's first matches at WrestleMania 21 when Orton was a rookie. Great match between the 2 of them. Just time after time, like I said, Undertaker put on great matches, and I feel like he doesn't get enough because he wasn't the same box office draw that maybe The Rock was at the time or John Cena is now. He was never that face of the company. But to me, he was always the standard, and you know what I mean? He was always there. He was always the guy. He never left the company, even during WCW's heyday with the Monday Night Wars. He was backstage there. He was, he was the constant. That's the word I was looking for. He was the constant. He was the leader, exactly. And he told Vince, we're not going to lose. I'm never going to leave. He was offered to leave, more money, but he told Vince, I'm here with you to the end. We're going to win this. And, he did that, And I just, like I said, I could sing his praises. Maybe we'll talk more about it next week again. But thank you, Taker. That's what I want to say most and everything. What a career! If this is officially it, and this is the last time we got to see you at WrestleMania, thank you for what we got a chance to see over the 25 plus years of your career, and it was truly an amazing spectacle to watch him wrestle every year at WrestleMania.
Thank you, Taker.
Yes. So let's talk about Payback
Superstar.
real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, Superstar Shakeup really fast. That's right. I'm sorry. And we'll talk, and then we'll talk about Payback.
You want me to get that real quick?
We don't have to talk the exact changes. We could just kind of give an idea.
Just the big ones. Bray Wyatt goes to Raw.
Which I didn't understand.
We have Dean Ambrose going to Raw. Alexa Bliss went to Raw. I think those are the main ones. Also the Revival debuted on Raw, but they're going to be a little couple months now with it was Dash that got hurt. It was Dash that got
injured. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the big ones, right?
Then you had Mickie James. I could think off the top of my head. Also went in the Raw for the women. Tag team wise, it was
Kalisto also.
Kalisto also went to Raw. That's right.
I think it was just a Revival.
Kurt Hawkins showed up. Yeah, I think Revival was the only one.
I'm sorry. One Man Gore.
One Man Gore. That's right. Heath Slater and Rhino was the other. I knew there was at least one team that showed up from SmackDown or Raw for tag teams.
And then the big ones to SmackDown will be Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, the debut of Nakamura.
And Ty Dillinger showed up from NXT as well.
The New Day and Charlotte Flair.
Yes,
which
and also on Raw.
The hell out of us, by the way.
Oh, with Tamina showing up first?
Yeah.
Well, she's been out for a long time, so that was nice to see her finally back. And then also Raw had Emma finally show up again after all this time of her coming back as Emelina. And then on SmackDown side, which I'm actually excited for, Rusev is there, and Lana is going to be on her own for the first time ever in the WWE. That Rusev's not around, and she's going to have a character debuting. And the New Day's also on SmackDown, but we don't know with Kofi's injury how long they're not going to be around for either. So there's more moves from the shakeup. I'm sure, as you guys have seen, we're just kind of talking about them. And that kind of led to this next pay-per-view that took place last night, Payback. There was matches from SmackDown that took place. Technically, they were SmackDown guys. I know it wasn't a SmackDown match, but first and foremost, the first match in the pre-show, we had Enzo and Cass over the Club. Again, I don't really understand what the purpose of this feud is other than just to give these guys something to do. I think the Club should have been one of the teams transferred over to SmackDown, or Enzo and Cass, one of these two teams, because as you can see, they're kind of in limbo now. They don't really know what to do. The Colognes that were on Raw got transferred to SmackDown in the Superstar, and they actually benefited very well, it seems, because they've had some success already on SmackDown with a win over the American Alpha, their first match on SmackDown. So congratulations to them being put over there. It looks like, they say it, SmackDown's a land of opportunity. But that talks about that there. Then, of course, the first match of the night was Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. And to me, huge shocker. Jericho's leaving on tour, whether it's you want to know it in storylines or not. And he won the title from Owens. I like the way they put his hand behind the stairs and hurt his finger.
That he is now going to SmackDown. Can you hear me now?
Paul, is it just me?
Yeah, I can hear Matt.
Hello.
Matt, can
Anthony.
you hear me, Anthony?
I can hear everyone.
Okay, good.
All right, which also means now that Chris Jericho is now a part of SmackDown.
Yes.
But Kevin Owens is staying. I thought this was going to be a way to get him back to Raw somehow. That's not the case. So Chris Jericho is now the newest member of SmackDown.
Yeah. And what do you think's going to happen? Because they already announced on the WWE page officially Backlash, AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho for the title. But obviously that can't happen. So do you think that they have a rematch on Tuesday? You think Owens attacks him and takes him out? What do you think's going to happen?
I think a rematch.
Okay. Rematch?
Yep.
Then that brings us to the next match.
Ayers versus Neville. DQ'd. Yep. Title doesn't change.
I'm okay with it because I like Neville. They're continuing this heel character of Neville.
Set them up
prolongs the feud.
I think it sets them up for one more match.
Yeah, rubber match, as you would say, since he got that win by disqualification, and that should take place at, what is it? It's not bad. I think Extreme Rules will be the next pay-per-view for Raw. So hopefully they hold off to then, which will be in Baltimore. Think about it. I don't know. They're saying that Reigns and Strowman are heading to another match, which we'll get to after.
Oh, cool. What's that, like, I love those two to death. They put on great matches. What is that, like 10?
That's their third match. That's what they said, but that's not right.
Do we count the balls?
Yeah, exactly. So Neville, Aries goes over by disqualification. Neville wins, keeps the title, I should say. Not really upset with that. Then the next match was
the tag team match.
The
Hardys went over, but then I
predicted Sheamus and Cesaro to go heel to win.
They went heel after they lost.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
I liked it. I think it shows a whole nother the side of Cesaro you haven't seen in a long time since maybe as.
I think there was a reason for this. Apparently, the rumor is that the Hardys and WWE has finally gotten the broken character, and we're starting to see now on Twitter, Matt is starting to hint after this the broken character. He's saying you guys have finally broken us. It's coming out. He's starting to hint it. So there's rumors that they have already beaten TNA. TNA's back down.
Yeah.
So this could have been the seed set for them to become broken, which we could see tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's definitely a chance tonight. The Hardys won again. What about Jeff Hardy getting his tooth knocked out?
That was a bad kick by Cesaro.
Oh man, by Sheamus. Sheamus is the one that kicked him. Holy moly, when he hit him, I was like, man, I thought at first because I didn't see it. Like I saw the kick, but I didn't see his tooth out. And then when afterwards, I thought they were just like trying to like say like how like IT4 earlier in the Celtics game had his tooth knocked out, like they were saying like Jeff Hardy's doing the same thing. But then I looked and I'm like, no, his tooth is clearly missing. Like and then they showed that kick again, and he hit him head on with that kick, man.
I have a question for you. Quick question.
Yes.
Who's wider, Sheamus or Bojo?
Oh man, you're gonna do that to Bojo? I'm gonna say Sheamus. I'm not gonna disrespect my boy Bojo.
Paul, oh God, Paul, you got to be there to see it. All right, let's move on to the next match. Another surprise victory, the women's title match.
Yeah, in the hometown of Bayley.
Bliss went over and beat Bayley, and you know what? I have no problem with this because you know why? It shows that Bliss is a legitimate champion now. She's the first champion now of Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be Charlotte, but I'm happy for her. She deserves this.
I'm okay with it. For sure. No, I think that was the right move, like you just said, because it kind of showed you that they have faith in those two. Not in those two, in her. To be not just a 4 horsewoman that they always touted. They actually gave her a shot.
Next one is the House of Horrors match, which, I mean, I don't know what you want to say about this. I mean, in the house, it was kind of cool. It looked like a straight up haunted house. Orton never got really offensive in there. Bray was playing mind games in there, threw a freaking refrigerator on him. And then, like they said, it ended back in the ring. And what happens? What are they called now? The Bollywood. What do they call themselves now?
The Bollywood Boys.
And Jinder Mahal attacked, and Bray Wyatt got the win because of it. And this turned from a title match to a non-title match. So, Randy just lost the non-title match. So what does it say about him as a champion?
Yeah, with help from all three of them, like you said, and he fought him off momentarily, only for Jinder to come in behind him. But this is more for me, this match with Bray winning, which is fine because it ends this feud, even though I would have liked to have seen it be longer on SmackDown. But this, to me, does more for Jinder Mahal because it kind of shows that this isn't he might not win the match at Backlash. It might just be a one, but he's taking every opportunity he can, and they're legitimizing him as a contender for the title. Because, like you said, he's taking a great opportunity by getting sent to SmackDown in the shakeup to be put in a title match. And, he's never really been in this big. He's never been in this big of a marquee of a match. So he's getting a chance, and he's kind of just letting Orton know, yeah, you might be one of the greatest of all time, but I'm not here. I'm here. I'm trying to, get the WWE title. I'm taking this as my opportunity, and I might not get another one. So they did that to build up Jinder. And I understand why they did it. So Bray Wyatt gets one. I would have rather, like you said, though, I would have rather the two of them just have it. But it just goes to show you that Jinder's not going to let up on Randy Orton until he gets the title that he wants. So then we had two other matches, right?
Seth Rollins went over Samoa Joe. Really good match.
I am tired, though. I'm sorry to cut you. I am tired of having Samoa Joe lose matches off of like a roll-up or something like that. Every time, like the match with Finn Balor, he did that to him, and I almost thought he was going to win like that again. You remember when Finn Balor won a takeover that one and he did that roll over off the turnbuckle? Seth Rollins had that exact pin, and I was like, don't let this match end like this. And then of course, like 3 minutes later, he gets him on a roll up, and I'm just like, why do they keep having this guy lose like this? He's supposed to be, this Samoan bulldozer, the Samoan submission machine, the Destroyer. I'm sorry, that's the name. Yeah, but. I don't know. Again, I understand what they're doing with Rollins. And also, before we get into the main event, since there's no Universal title to talk about, earlier on the pre-show, Miz TV had Finn Balor on it, and Finn Balor said he's back to grab the Universal title. What's his? And Miz said, you realize Brock's bigger than you? And he's like, I fought bigger guys all the time. It's nothing new. Is Finn maybe the next contender for the title?
He should be.
We don't know.
Doesn't he deserve a rematch?
I think so. So we'll see how that plays out. With something I will talk about what I read that might be taking place tonight on Raw to announce the post payback, but for Great Balls of Fire in July. So we'll get to that. But let's talk about the main event now.
Really, it was mostly, I guess you can say, the Braun Strowman show. I mean, the match they have here for 12 minutes. I think 10 minutes was all Strowman. Roman got 2 minutes, but I think the real thing was after the match. After Strowman delivered the second running power slam, he was leaving the ring, came back in, smashed the ribs of Roman with the steel steps. But I think the real big thing was Roman denied the stretcher. He wanted to walk off on his own power. Still got to make him look a little strong. But what I liked is, and me and you talked about this, was he was still playing up the injury. He had everything taped up.
Yeah.
It looked like he couldn't use that one arm. He, was doing one-handed spears. So they didn't make him look like all-powerful Superman Roman. They actually looked like, Roman looked finally human for once. And you know what? I'm not upset. I think Strowman finally deserved a win at a pay-per-view, and he got it.
No, I agree. But to hear the chant saying you deserve it and stuff like that, I want to touch on this real quick.
Stupid.
Like, you deserve it's stupid. The guy, first of all, just lost his brother. And he's out there, whether he's injured or not, storyline-wise, but he's putting over, Strowman in the match. And listen, I'm one that likes to see other people win as well, and I'll be the first to say that I don't think Roman should win the match that Braun should have won. But to say that is just absolutely just disgusting to me. To say you deserve it, like whether it's storyline or not, like that he's getting beat like that. This guy's going through a lot right now, and he's still out there to pay-per-view a week after his brother passed away. And then you're going to say stuff like that it's just, to me, that just shows what's wrong with some of the fans that watch wrestling today.
The top on that was, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when Strowman did the whole ambulance things or whatnot. And I read something on the internet where there was this parent, with 2 kids, and 2 kids were crying. The parents had taken them to leave. And I'm reading the comments, and people were saying all this crap about the kids and blah, blah, blah. People need to realize that kids younger than 10, they still don't know. Some of them don't know this is fake. Some of these guys are superheroes to them. They're role models to them. They look up to these guys. And if you're 8 or 9 years old, 7, and you don't know this is fake, and you see your role model, your Superman, getting destroyed like that, you can't go online and bash kids for that, because it really, I mean,
scripted. We'll use scripted. Don't use that word. Fake.
It's like when we were kids and the NWO ran the semi into the Rock in an ambulance. We're sitting there like, oh my God, the Rock is dead. We didn't know this when we were kids. We thought this was real. It's just the mindset you were when
we
you
don't
were
understand
a kid.
that it's all part of the
adults
show.
do, but a 7 or 8 year old seeing their role model get destroyed and they think something's wrong with them and then they start crying. Don't attack a kid like that. That's ridiculous and stupid. Be an adult. These kids don't know. Like John Cena, how many kids look up to that guy?
Yeah,
he's a superhero to so many kids, and I really hate it in the audience when you see the kids yell, "Let's go Cena!" It's all kids, and then you hear the people behind, Cena sucks, F you Cena, boos, and it's just like, dude, you can't say that with a kid nearby. Come on now. I mean, I know you're an adult, but some of these, like after WrestleMania, the F you Roman chants. I mean, some of that stuff's over the line. It's over the top.
Yeah, I think there's some chance, like I said. I think that's part of the thing. The Cena sucks thing doesn't bother me because that Cena's incorporated it now into his thing.
The Roman chants have got to be ridiculous.
It's the thing is, when you go to those things, the fans pay. I agree that to an extent they get a little overzealous sometimes with the chants, but that's just gonna be some fans for you. But like I said, my thing was that whole "you deserve it" thing that kind of really didn't sit well with me. I didn't like it.
Either. No.
Then wasn't a fan of it. But Strowman got the win, and after Raw talk, this feud's not over. You saw Roman going backstage spitting up blood still, and Braun took out an ambulance door and yelled. He said, "I'm not finished with you yet." Again, his line that he's been using on Roman for the past couple weeks now, and then Roman luckily was able to fend him off. And this match is these two are not done. So I wonder if tonight.
Raw talk? I must have missed that.
Yeah, on Raw talk. Yeah, he ran when he was walking out. Roman was going towards the backstage, spit up blood on the wall, and was at the ambulance, opened the doors, and then Braun yelled, "I'm not finished with you," and ran, and Roman moved, and he literally took the back ambulance door completely off the hinges when he ran into it, full blast, and then Roman hit him in the head 3 times with the other door, and then Braun retreated, and Roman finally got out of there. So
wow. I didn't see that.
Yeah, you'll have to check that out. So that feud's far from being done. Overall, though, the pay-per-view to me was surprising. I expected it to be like nothing, like, whatever, it's not going to be good. I thought that overall was a pretty good pay-per-view. I think they did a good job. And I know Raw's on the air right now, so thank you guys for sticking with us. We're not going to take too much more of your time. But I enjoyed Payback. What do you think, Matt?
It was a good pay-per-view for me. A lot of surprises, like we said. A lot of things we didn't expect to happen. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen tonight. Hopefully we can head out of here in a couple minutes. I can go watch.
Yeah. So we will let's real quick just wrap it up. We'll talk more next week. Obviously, Backlash is coming up for SmackDown in a couple weeks. So that we'll get more matches. Now Jinder Mahal is the #1 contender by winning a 6-man challenge that took place on SmackDown a few weeks back. So we have that match. Also on the SmackDown side, the women's title picture looks like Naomi and Charlotte are going to go head-to-head a little bit longer after the 3, Natalya, Tamina, and
Alexa Bliss
Carmella.
Is starting Raw.
Okay, so Alexa Bliss is starting Raw tonight with the Raw Women's title.
All the divas in the ring having to look at her.
All right, awesome. So we'll have to check that out. If you're watching with us right now, make sure you head on over to check that out, because that's what we're going to be doing once we're done here. But SmackDown looks like it's shaping up. The tag team title picture, we now know Breezango is the #1 contenders after winning a Beat the Clock challenge. Congratulations.
Grimes and Shane.
So
what'd you say? No,
I didn't. I'm not even touching that subject. So we know that now, and like I said, we'll see more with the other the United States title now. They're saying it's AJ and Jericho. That should be answered more now that Jericho's officially a member of SmackDown. How that's going to be taken care of for Backlash, and of course Shinsuke Nakamura and Dolph Ziggler look to be heading for a feud, which I'm very excited to see their match when they finally have that chance to meet one-on-one. So a lot to look forward to this next month, leading it to Backlash on SmackDown. And, of course, on Raw, we're going to have the fallout of Payback tonight. What's Strowman going to say? what's Reigns going to do, how they're going to answer each other. Rollins and Samoa Joe, I'm sure we'll have more from them. The tag team title picture now with Sheamus and Cesaro, are they going to get another match? We're told the Golden Truth said they're going to get a match against whoever the winner was. So now we'll see that match maybe tonight. They went backstage to the Hardys and said that they were granted a match. What's Kurt Angle going to do to Strowman maybe in this issue? Alexa Bliss now being the champion. As Matt said, she's in the ring right now. So we'll see how all of this takes place on Monday Night Raw tonight. And let's see. There's talk of a triple threat match happening tonight for the Universal title, or maybe sometime for the number one contender. The three men talked about are Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and The Miz, with the winner being the number one contender. So we'll see if that takes place maybe tonight, or if that's just rumor But yeah, a lot, to talk about. And again, like I said, it was a month. So we tried to cover a lot all in one time. I see Matt smiling there, so he must have something.
Your headset turned off.
I don't know what's going on with it. It's just cutting out on me tonight, I guess. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, we had a month off, a little over, so we're happy to be back. A lot to cover. We kind of jammed in WrestleMania, NXT, and Payback, the Superstar Shakeup. Next week, we'll talk more, and we'll be able to do more of a, one type of segment show instead of it just being everything jumbled for the past month. We'll be able to talk about what happened this past week, kind of catch up on everything. We haven't forgot about the greatest wrestler of all time. Matt and I are still figuring out something. We did our votes for the final four. Final four left. It was The Rock and Hogan on one side, and then CM Punk and Jeff Hardy.
Oh,
CM Punk and Jeff Hardy were in a tie.
You're the final vote.
Matt and I are going to discuss it. We're not going to say right now, but next week on the show, we will announce who the final two will be, and that will go up next week for you guys to vote on officially. So we will talk about that and just keep on our Twitter and see if maybe we announce who won out of the Jeff Hardy CM Punk thing. We're going to talk, like I said, though, because I don't want it to just be a vote on me. So we're going to see if we can figure something out to maybe make it a little more fair as opposed to just me and Matt choosing. But if it comes down to that, you guys will definitely know next week what our decision was on that. But thank you for voting. And like I said, we'll announce it next week. So this way, hopefully we can get a lot of votes on it next week and we can see who people think is the greatest wrestler of all time. So, yeah, I think that pretty much does it. Paul, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, man. Thank you, guys. It's good to be back. Thanks, everybody, for watching and tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe to the to our YouTube channel and give us likes on the episode. Go ahead and like us on the Facebook page. Hit us up on Twitter. It's at OT3 Podcast 1. Facebook / Off the Top Turnbuckle. And, of course, email. Send us anything you want, ot3podcast@gmail.com. That'd be a recipe for sore throats or, I don't know, getting Matt better. Who knows? He's sick.
May take a couple weeks.
Yeah. But other than that, that's all I got. It's good to be back, guys. Back in the
Yeah, it's great to be back.
SST this Thursday, as always. We come back to that.
Yeah. So...
Anthony's going to be
SST.
I'm going to be on. No matter what, even if it's baseball.
Oh, here we go. We'll talk on Thursday about that. I'm sure the Mets and the Nationals will get brought up on Thursday. But we will. We'll talk about it. And we'll have a lot of other stuff to cover. Obviously, post-NFL draft, what a draft it was. NBA and NHL playoffs are both in the second round now. Some matchups might already be over by the time we get to talk on Thursday, the way they're going. But we'll definitely be there Thursday to talk about that. So, Paul, any word on Crazy Talk?
Yeah, actually, so as soon as I get the studio finished up, then we're going to be starting that back up again. So everybody's excited. I had all the fellas over throughout the last couple of weeks, and they're going to be contributing to the studio also, just kind of like what they want it to look like. So, Matt, you too. And Chris, who's out there, and Anthony, feel free to give your inputs. We'll get you looking at it, but it's going to be great. Yeah, so keep an ear out for Crazy Talk. It is going to be coming back probably next couple weeks maybe.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's good to know. I've been asking now. We've been giving you a hard time about it for a while now, so we finally got the answer.
Yeah.
So, like Paul said, again, it is great to be back. It's been a while. It's not because we don't want to be here. It's just with everything going on. We've had some stuff, between myself, Matt, and Paul with just in general that we couldn't do a show here or there. We are back. We should see you again next Monday. We'll talk again about Raw and SmackDown. We'll talk about the results of our greatest of all time ballot that we have. And we just look forward to talking more wrestling with you next Monday. So for myself, Paul, and Matt, we want to wish you a great rest of the night. Thanks for tuning in. And we hope you enjoyed our return back after a month off. And we'll see you next Monday. Enjoy Raw and enjoy SmackDown. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.